Hey everyone, Brian Zane here to talk about Delete or Decay, the much anticipated sequel to the Final Deletion on Impact Wrestling. I just got done watching it and I have to tell you what I thought about it. You know, spoilers ahead. First of all, there's going to be some spoilers in here. If you haven't seen it yet, pause this video, watch it. I'm sure it's on YouTube by now, and then come back to it. You know, it's one of those things like the Final Deletion. Either you love it or you hate it. Either it represents the best of wrestling, the outlandish, crazy stuff, or it represents the worst of wrestling. You know, the fact there's no actual wrestling in this match here. You know, it basically depends on what your perspective is. So let's talk about it. First of all, big shout out to Meltzer Jr., who's a user on the Squared Circle Reddit, who made a playlist on Thursday highlighting all of the pertinent videos and information you need to know. If you're like me, you didn't really know why Decay and the Hardys were fighting in the compound and everything. His playlist really gave me a lot of good background and exposition, which is great. And you know, really, when you watch those videos, you realize the story itself, as wild and outlandish as the characters are, the story itself is actually pretty basic in a good way. It's like this band of freaks is invading this other wrestler's house and they're like terrorizing the family, and so they got to fight to defend the honor. Like, that's brilliant. That at its core, that's the story, and that's a great story in my opinion. And of course, it's carried out in a very artistic and crazy way, as the Hardys are wont to do. The segment they had before, earlier in the night on Impact, where they're at the zoo and they encounter the giraffe and the spider monkeys that Matt named DJZ and Andrew Everett, and Matt and Nick, the Bucks of Youth. I thought that was a great segment. Them sparring with the kangaroo. How often are you going to see that on Raw? Let's talk about the fight itself. It was not a match. It was a fight. In fact, it was actually less of a wrestling match than the Final Deletion was, if you can believe that. But anyway, the Decay group, they walk up to the house, they peer in Maxell's window, Abyss starts singing, all their faces are painted. It's super creepy. They start fighting, and then the return of the fireworks. I swear the fireworks, they had infinite ammo cheat on those fireworks, because I feel like they went for a solid minute, uninterrupted. No stopping of the flow of the fireworks between all three of them shooting at Decay. Fighting behind the return of Skarsgård, the dilapidated boat. You know, I think this is definitely a big fan servicey video where they're bringing back all of the high points from the Final Deletion. It kind of reminds me in a way of, like, you know, like when Anchorman 2 came out and Zoolander 2 came out. Basically, any sequel that comes out to some other popular movie, he always tries to like rehash some of the bigger high points, the bigger jokes, the bigger moments of the previous movie, and it usually just feels kind of cheap. There was a bit of cheapness to that as well, I feel like. The fact they revisited the fireworks again and they had the boat again, to me, it's like, and so close to each other back to back, it's like, I thought that was a little overdone. I popped huge for the return of Joseph Park Esquire coming out of the lake and talking to Senor Benjamin. Oh man, I popped so big for that. I laughed so hard when he came out of there. The biggest like fight portion of the whole video was Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero, and Crazy Steve fighting in the pool, which I thought was intense. Like, where'd the floaty thing come from? I thought the whole thing where he puts Crazy Steve in the sleeper hole and he passes out. He basically kills the guy, which I thought was like, are they really gonna show murder on this video? And then, of course, the very predictable Hardy is sitting there, and then Crazy Steve comes back out like a serial killer, or like Jason Voorhees pulls him back in. One thing I was disappointed in not seeing, I wanted to see Rebby Sky actually like fight Rosemary. I wanted to see more of that, because what they showed you is like they cut to the inside of the compound and she's knocked out and Rosemary's standing over her with Maxell. I kind of wish we got to see some of that fighting. I don't know, after Rebby gave birth to Maxell, I don't know what her health or what her condition is, if she's able to wrestle or anything like that, or if she wants to. I think it would, because she is a worker, she is a wrestler, so I would have wanted to see some of that. That's kind of what I was looking forward to when I heard that it was going to be, you know, the 3-on-3 element for Delete or Decay. So a little disappointed I didn't see that, but you know, that was kind of a minor nitpick. Quick question, how does this toddler not react to anything? He is like the best behaved 1-year-old I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he was able to be held by this, what I would imagine is more or less kind of a stranger, with this insane face paint on, and the baby doesn't bat an eye. And like Maxell's made almost no sounds in all the different videos you've seen of the Hardys and everything. That to me is one of the highlights of the whole saga, is the fact just watching baby Maxell and just admiring, wow, what a stoic toddler. Brother Nero sacrificed himself for his brother Matt. Matt taking the hit to the stomach from Janice. Crazy spot. It was one of those things where, again, is he going to also die? I don't know. I don't know what the extension of this deletion is. When they have graves dug for people, you never know how far it's going to go. But then Vanguard 1 swoops in and starts firing, more fireworks, more rockets at Crazy Steve and Abyss, and then all of a sudden the symbol comes around them, and that was kind of a weird, awkward moment where it's like, is it a force field? They're just kind of standing there. It's just a flame. It's like a 1 foot high fire. The conclusion to all this madness is the confrontation at the end with Matt Hardy and Rosemary, who's abducted Maxell. And then the best part of the whole thing, I popped for Joseph Park and I popped for Matt Hardy inhaling the mist. One of the most brilliant things I'd ever seen in anything, in this or any other kind of show, wrestling or otherwise. Matt Hardy inhaling the mist, that got the big pop out of me. That was amazing. And then he spits it back out at Rosemary, and she runs off. And so, the nuclear family of Matt and Rebby and Maxell are reunited. Jeff is selling, and much like at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Senor Benjamin is the Han Solo in this case, where he is abducted by the Decay as they drive off. So, was it Delete or Decay? Who really won? There were no real winners because, each team had, I guess at the end, Decay kind of walked away semi-winners because they walked away on their own power, and they also kidnapped Senor Benjamin. But at the end of the day, the Hardys defended the compound and King Maxell is safe. So who really won? So in terms of all the outdoorsy wrestling fights we have seen in 2016 alone, I have to rank Final Deletion #1, Delete or Decay #2, and the Wyatt New Day fight in their compound a very, 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 very distant third. So all told, the fight itself was about 12 minutes long. And again, like the Final Deletion, I was only sad and I was only upset when it was over because it ended. I was like, is that it? Please let there be more. I want to know what happens to Senor Benjamin. I want there to be more crazy stuff at this compound. Like I said at the top of this video, either you hate stuff like this or you love it. And it was just, I come off a bit like a stickler on this show when it comes to the believability of things. But at the end of the day, like if they go balls to the wall and they just do this crazy shit like you've never seen before, like I'm all for it. I'm all for wacky stuff. Remember, I grew up on the Attitude Era. That was like my training wheels for professional wrestling. So I know all about wacky stuff. Like I'm open to it, as long as they commit to it and as long as like it's fun to watch. That's the thing. WWE does crazy stuff all the time, but like it's not very compelling stuff. But the Hardys, to me, you can't take your eyes off them. People have said this before, and I'm going to echo these sentiments. Matt Hardy is like the MVP of not just Impact Wrestling, but probably all of like American wrestling this year, just in a way that he has completely reinvented himself. And think of it this way. For how long has Matt Hardy been referred to as the boring one of those two? Think of that. He was always the bland one. He was the Jannetty to Jeff Hardy's Shawn Michaels. He's leapfrogged Jeff in so many ways this year, doing this complete crazy gimmick, and I love it. I love it, and the fans love it. They're speaking as well. Is it going to translate to bigger and better ratings for Impact? I don't know. I mean, Final Deletion got a big pop in the ratings. I'm not sure at this time of this recording how Delete or Decay is going to impact the ratings. I think overall, this stuff that the Hardys are doing is good for Impact, and I think, like I said, like I mentioned in my Final Deletion review, is good for the business because it allows other wrestlers watching this, no matter where they are in their career trajectory, to say, wow, like, I can take control of my character and my career with my creativity. I think wrestlers, all wrestlers pretty much, for the most part, are very inherently creative people. And so they can look at the Hardys as an example and say, like, maybe don't do exactly that, but they can do something unique, and they can do something that breaks the mold, and that breaks conventional wrestling wisdom and tradition, and it can work. The Hardys have proven that. But anyway, was it crazy? Yes. Was it stupid? Yes, but I think it was in a good way. Was it wrestling? No, but that's the beauty of professional wrestling. I've said before in this show, wrestling is really what you want it to be. Ricochet said, wrestling is art, and wrestling can be interpreted and performed in a lot of different ways. And no, the Final Deletion and Delete or Decay, those were not wrestling matches. Sorry, not a headlock to be found, but it was action, it was storytelling, and that really is the root of what professional wrestling is. This is not going to you make the business evolve into all backyard stuff. But it's still, it's the spice of life. Variety is the spice of life, people. And if you can't at least crack a smile when you're seeing the Hardys fighting and shooting fireworks and stuff, then why even be a fan? That's what I have to say about it. Let me know what you thought of Delete or Decay in the comments section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it. Subscribe to Wrestling with Regret and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.